Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot reading for Thursday, the 17th day of March, 2022. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day. Lots of things coming up here. We have the Ostara and the is on Sunday and Monday. And then also the equinox, the spring equinox, is on Sunday morning. So that's kind of cool. I love the equinoxes. I love the autumn and the spring equinoxes. They're so much fun. Energetically, it's just, especially if you go and you do a ritual right at the time of the equinox, it's just energetically a really cool thing. Anyway, I'm going to be doing that this weekend, and so if you are all of that persuasion or you want to try something like that, I believe it's you can go and check over on the blog, or no, you can't yet because it's not up. But I think it's like, what is it? Let me look here. Let me pull up the ephemeris. Let me see. Equinox would be at 8:33 in the morning. So that's the time of equinox here on the 20th on Sunday. So, anyhow, well, let's see. I've shuffled. I've got everything ready. Let's go ahead and take a look at the esoteric influences for today. Now, that comes from the weekly esoteric influences that I do over on Stepping Aside at the blog. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. And if you click on Show More under the video here, it'll open up this area. If you're not that familiar with YouTube, you can click on that area under any video and see if there's stuff there. That sometimes people put notes there and or links to different things they talk about. But all the links of where I am are there, and including the one for the blog. And if you want to sign up there for the newsletter, that the esoteric influences come out in that on Saturday nights. You can do that. It's over on the blog. Just scroll down a little bit and you'll see it. It's on the left side panel there. And it just says newsletter, sign up. You put your email in there and it goes to my, anyway. And I know nobody wants to have anything more in their inbox. So if you just want to go to the blog and look at it there, you can do that too. But anyway, for Thursday, we have an 8 numerology. 17 reduces to 8. And we're talking about leadership, material achievement and recognition, success, strength. The rune for today from the Elder Futhark, from that, which won't necessarily be what we find here today, is Uruz. It means oryx, or it was like a big bison, like bull type thing, creature, cow, they're extinct. Although I read something not all that long ago where I think they've got DNA or something, and they were trying to come up with a way to recreate the oryx, but we'll see as time goes on if they actually do that. But this means health, endurance, strength. It's the primal energy that shapes matter. So in that sense, it's the higher self thought process that is actually, it's the thought process behind the manifestation energy itself. It's the thought process behind the choice to manifest. The geomancy rune today is Puella, or Puea, or young girl. It means scattered energy, fickle, emotional, superficial. Just think of like I have a 4-year-old granddaughter who's very curious, very interested in everything. I was the same way, and that's the type of energy. It's not a negative energy or anything. It's just something where your focus, you're excited, and your focus is going in a lot of different directions today. The sun's in Pisces, the moon is in Virgo. We're in the maiden phase of the full moon. Tomorrow's the full moon. Saturday will be the crone phase. And the planetary governance today is Jupiter. Jupiter governs Thursdays. So Thursdays can be a very expansive type of an energy. Again, probably aligning maybe a little too well with Puella. So maybe have a hard time getting the focus under control today. So anyhow, Uruz gives you the ability to shape your own perspective in a manner that allows you to act from a place of strength instead of superficiality. With Jupiter still in Pisces and in the 12th house, you continue to embrace an inner awareness that expresses empathy and love for others. Intuition is strong, and you may be inclined to delve into spiritual pursuits as you gain insight into your own issues of vulnerability today. It may seem as if you survive in spite of circumstances by drawing insight from higher awareness. However, your strong foundation paves the way for ambition that not only establishes your own control, but also respects and supports the contributions of others. You know, sometimes we get going and people will get going and they don't really take into account anybody else's perspective, especially if they're wanting to do something when others are going, hey, wait a minute, that's not how that works. And so they don't want to hear it, you know, and off they go. And so today, if you feel compelled to do that, take a step back and remember that there could be things you're just not aware of, and you could get yourself out on the end of a plank, you know, ready to go off into the water there and not even realize it. And you know, so feeling like, oh no, don't tell me what to do. Well, maybe you want to listen today a little bit. So I've got the geomancy runes ready. Let's go ahead and take a rune from the Elder Futhark bag. I use the Elder Futhark when I look at runes. I don't use the other ones. I'm familiar with some of them, but in fact, I did a comparison, and I think I did a video on it. But you can check over there over here on YouTube in the foundations and magic section maybe. Anyway, I did want a comparison between the elder and the younger Futharks, which I thought was interesting. But here we have Perthro. And Perthro is about fate. It's about who controls the fate, really. It's said initially that it's the cup from which dice are tossed, or the well from which the runes were drawn. You can turn it this way and it looks like a well or a cauldron. But the Norns were said to give Odin the runes when he hung upside down from the world tree, sacrificing an eye. You'll see in I think is it in the Havamal? Well, it's in one of them anyway, where he talks about sacrificing himself to himself. Well, what that means is he sacrificed an eye for enlightenment, and as he hung upside down from the world tree, the Norns came supposedly and drew from the well of Mimir the runes and essentially enlightened Odin and basically gave him some an awakening that he wasn't, aware of before. So that's why I believe that the runes really are a language of spirit. They really can give you an idea of the higher principles involved in your life and in the choices that we make here while we're in form. This would be open to death. This would be open to birth. You can think of it as a womb, basically giving birth. But this is all about, whenever I pull Perthro in a reading, what it's telling me is that you've got to decide who's going to determine your fate. Is it going to be you, or are you going to allow outside forces to determine everything for you? So often we feel like we have no choice in life. But I think when Perthro comes into the equation, it's really telling us that we do. And maybe it's not a comfortable choice you make. Maybe it's stepping outside the crowd, or the, you get if you're with a group of friends and they all want you to do this or that and you're not comfortable. Well, who determines your fate, them or you? If you're not comfortable, then make your excuses and go. Just say, yeah, I've got stuff to do. I don't think I want to do this. And no matter what they say, it shouldn't matter. But all too often, they'll harangue you, and then you find yourself doing things that you really don't want to do, and you're not prepared for the consequences of either. So I don't know. I think to me, that's what Perthro means. It's just being a little bit more aware of the choices that you have, and then make them, irrespective of the pressure you're getting from somebody else. Because maybe they're leading you headlong into disaster. So, just be aware of that. Now the geomancy rune today is Pur, which is the opposite of Puella, whereas Puella is scattered little girl energy. Pur is scattered little boy energy. This would be Puella, and this would be his complement, Pur. So you're basically looking here. This is put in the order of air, fire, water, and earth, and so you've got active principles for air, fire, and earth, and passive principles for water. So when it means passive, it means you're not necessarily asserting yourself emotionally. So the emotions aren't going to be as, they're going to be more pliable, and that's why it's scattered little boy energy. But this is a little bit different than Puella. This is little boys, like little boys getting in trouble, when they're I had two boys, and so when they get quiet, something's up, right? Well, that's kind of this energy, but it's a lack of impulse control. And so then for today, not only from the esoteric influences, we have this lower vibrational, scatteredness that might, if we're not just determining our own fate, or maybe that's an expression of it. We can either have our fate determined by our lack of impulse control, or we can have the fate determined by higher self saying, no, don't be doing that. So, but that's kind of interesting. Sometimes we do that. I'll say what they are from the esoteric influences, and then I'll pull one of them or something. Either the rune or the geomancy rune will be what we just talked about. But today it seems to be reinforcing, both polarities, basically, to where there's nothing really controlling your scattered thinking today, other than your choice of higher self-awareness or ego. So, make your decisions accordingly. Let's go ahead and look at the cards for today. No majors, no court cards. Yay, no court cards. Court cards are fine, but they're limited in some ways and not in other ways, and I don't know. Whenever they're there, it's like, okay, what now? But let's see if we need to. Well, no, I'm going to leave them in the order because I've got 2 10s, one on each end, and then a 9 in the center. We have a run on Pentacles. 2 cards are Pentacles, the others from Swords. But we've got a sense of endings and completion, which is interesting given the equinox on Saturday, or Sunday rather. You can look at an equinox as light time is the same. It'll be 12:12, right? And then you'll have, but then after the equinox is over, after 8:33 in the morning, light time technically begins increasing. And so in a sense, it's like the Rune de Gaz. You've got the end of one period and the beginning of another. And I like to do what I call a de Gaz ritual on the equinoxes to experience the end and the beginning, end of something and the beginning of something new. And in a sense, when you look at the Roman numeral 10, if you were to terminate each end with a line, you would have the Rune de Gaz. So in a sense, it's basically the same kind of experience. Now, 10 can be reduced to 1 and new beginnings, but if you do that, then you kind of lose the end. You lose that de Gaz energetic effect where you see the end of one thing and the beginning of something new, although it's implied, and that's how I tend to interpret this whenever we have a 10 card. But here we see a man on the ground. 10 swords piercing his back. You see the water, the blue water out there beyond him, the body of water. You see a black line of demarcation between the water and the mountains, and you see the light returning here. You see the night. You see the effect of the light on the clouds there, lightening them. But this is the end of the turmoil and the readying for something new to happen. And this is mental turmoil. This is, you've gone as far as you go with your perceptions, and it's just not, they're totally not working for you anymore. And now it's time to regain some awakening or some enlightenment. You can look at the return of the light as that. And yes, there will be challenges along the way. There's going to be emotion involved, even though this is a card of the air element and the intellect. You usually will see this in a lot of the small cards, and also on the major arcana cards. You'll see different elements represented, but when it's, this is the card of swords, and so it's the air element, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to see some grounding here. because that could represent some grounding. Maybe your perceptions got way out of whack and they're not particularly based in reality at this point. Maybe you've been following a crowd and you've got this, the perceptions have become so distorted that it's clear you can't go any further with that. It's like, okay, I got to let that go and I'm going to move on to something else. The Nine of Swords shows the man in a bed waking up from a nightmare, and all the swords are in order. They go horizontally, but they're all in order. And so again, you wake up from the nightmare, and then you're ready to let go of the perceptions that are really holding you back. And you're ready to awaken to something new, no matter how challenging it might be. With those mountains in the background, no matter how challenging that might be, you're still ready to do that now. Because when you do, there's an element here with the Nine of Pentacles. You see the woman of means out in her garden. She's got her falcon on her left hand. She's got one hand on one of the coins here. She's definitely a woman of means. She's got wealth. She could be a queen. But you see all this abundance around her. But after this, because I mean, this can be interpreted in a variety of ways. I mean, you can, she could have something that no one else has, and so there's a problem with that. But I think what you see here, once you let go of perceptions that no longer serve, you gain some peace that you didn't have before. And so you can just look at this as coming to peace, I think. The end of strife. Just going out and having a relaxing day in your garden where all the abundance, everything you've grown is there, and it's pleasing to look at. It's relaxing. It's the abundance of the effort that you've put in to let go of perceptions that no longer serve. So you can have some time of peace. Which then perhaps creates a different legacy. Now the 10 Pentacles here are, and again, Pentacles is the earth element, and so we're talking anything to do with physical reality, whether it's home, tradition, family, work, possessions, inheritance. And here, this really it's like the Rune Ostara, the 24th rune of the Elder Futhark, where it talks about the same thing. Now these pentacles are arranged in the same shape, the same pattern as the tree of life, or the tree of life, basically, from the Kabbalah. I don't think. Oh, I do have that. But you can see it's the same thing. And there's a sense of tradition here. There's a sense of passage. Here you have the older man sitting here. You've got his dogs right here by his side. You've got the family that's come to visit. You see an archway there. And it's almost like the line of demarcation in some of the tarot cards. That's the sense of this is now and this is then. So there's almost like a sense of transition, like handing off of the responsibilities to the younger people in the family. Now this could be the castle, this could be the king, this could be the castle. Behind there's a tower, or it could be the town, but it's likely something that is home related, so it's probably the castle. But they've come to visit, and you see the abundance around the king. You see that here. We'll just call him the king. But they've come to see their father, the father of the family. And basically, there's just a feeling of completion here. That's the other thing with the 10 and also with the 9. There's just a feeling about this of a sense of completion. If you look at the tree of life here, you've got, basically you're going through, you begin with the crown, and number 2, you go to number 2, and that's understanding. 3 is wisdom. 4 is mercy. 5 is strength. 6 is beauty. The 7th is victory. The 8th is splendor. The 9th is the foundation. And 10 is represents the earth or the kingdom. And so basically it's the stages one goes through in physical form, that the soul goes through in physical form. And in a sense, that's what this is saying. Once you can get rid of the perceptions that are faulty, you come to a greater understanding of what's really going on, okay? Given that these are both 10 cards, there's that sense of endings and completion. You're letting go of the faulty perceptions and you're replacing them with the truth, basically. And when you get to that stage in life, it's like when you get to be my age or older, all of the struggle that you have throughout, your childhood and your adolescence, your adulthood, all of that, the struggle that you have trying to make sense of your world. Sometimes that comes to a more, a greater level of understanding when you get to be older. Sometimes not. I look around at things going on now and I don't understand any of it, right? And you'd think, well, haven't we learned something by now? It's like, no. And so we're still struggling. Humanity is still struggling in that infancy, I guess, or maybe in its adulthood, to let go of perceptions that are propaganda or again being controlled by other people who have some kind of an agenda that keeps them in power. Maybe that would be one scenario where you get people that tell you all these lies, and then because they want to stay in control, they want to stay in power, so they lie, and you don't realize it, and then one day you get it, and you're horrified that you could have ever believed those things, right? And so then you have that major shift in perception, and where you let go of them and you awaken to the truth. And when you do, then there's a sense of endings and completion and spirituality, maybe even that comes into play, where it's that feeling, and we've all had it, where something dawns on us and we realize. And there's this, once you get over the emotion of it, then there's this quiet resolve to do something different in your life, and to see things a little bit different way. If you realize a friend's been lying to you and deceiving you, then you know what you need to do at that point, right? It's that feeling. Once you get over being upset about it, that turns into some steely-like resolve to look at that person differently than you have, and you can't go back to the way things were, right? And so that's kind of the feeling here. And when you do, then you have some kind of a positive legacy then to pass on to your family, to your children, or to others in your life. Some greater level of awareness to where you can choose, that you can make choices that maybe before you felt powerless to make. You determine your fate. You express the perthrow in your life yourself, instead of allowing someone else to draw you into something that only benefits them. That's done typically for nefarious reasons. There's never really anything positive about a situation like that. And it's about awakening to that sort of experience, and to let go of the scattered energy that maybe, and the scattered focus and the lack of impulse control that made you listen to something without truly thinking it through. That would be the poor energy today. And again, when you do, it allows you to let go of perceptions that have been really clouding, the truth for you. And then when you do, it opens up an area of peace and comfort that once you get over being mad about it, because you're going to get mad about it too, right? But realize that it's not, if someone is trying to do that to you, that's not your fault. That's their fault, right? So don't spend any time feeling bad that you got conned, because you didn't get conned. They conned you. That's a very, you've got to understand that distinction there. People that con others, they're some of them are criminals, right? Sometimes it's a criminal act. So you have to understand that it's a mindset that's manipulative, that's doing it. And it's not something that you need to take responsibility for. You just need to wake up from it. That's all. And that's your job. That's your expression, your own expression of Perthro here today. So anyhow, I think it's interesting that together, if you reduce the 10s to 1, added to 9, we have an 11 numerology, which is the master number for awakening and illumination. So I think that the numerology together of the reading here, of the tarot cards anyway, suggests that we've come full circle and we've awakened into something that is a higher truth. And we're ready now to take control of our own fate instead of giving it away to other people. So anyhow, not a bad reading to take us into the holiday of Ostara, which is new beginnings. The growth is coming back, the flowers, in some areas anyway, the daffodils are starting to bloom. And if you live in lower elevations, then you got a lot of other stuff that's starting to bloom, and as are people's allergies. So, drink lots of dandelion tea and drink nettle tea. Make sure you put nettle in there too. That'll help relieve some of that. But I think that it's a great reading for this time, over the next few days, where again we're going to let go of one thing and move into another. Winter is ending and spring is coming, basically, if you want to look at it seasonally. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful weekend. And again, check out the stuff on the blog. It's all going to go up. It'll probably post Saturday night, and the Patreon posts also it goes up at the same time. The one for Medium usually goes up, or the 2 on Medium, they go up on Sunday. And let's see what else I need to tell you. I don't think I need to tell you anything else. So I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. If you haven't clicked subscribe yet, I'd love you to do that and come back. We do this on Mondays and Thursdays. And, come back on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Thanks so much. And be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.